material needs to come out. Scott McFarland reports from Washington.
The millions of
What's in the Epstein files? I don't even know what the fuck the Epstein files are. I know it's some crazy shit going on with celebrities and shit, like sex parties and stuff like that. But damn.
pages of Jeffrey Epstein materials show the prominent men who were once in the disgraced sex offender circle, including these photos of former Prince Andrew on all fours.
Bro, is he standing over a woman? Is she knocked out?
Over an unidentified woman on the floor. Queen Elizabeth's son has denied all wrongdoing, but British Prime Minister Keir Starmer called on him to testify to Congress. And this appears to be an email from Elon Musk to Epstein in 2012 asking, what day, night will be the wildest party on your island?
Oh, shit. Really? Bro, what the hell? Take them all down. Take them down. They trying to ruin the world anyway. Shit, fuck it. Take them down. That's crazy. It's y'all boy right here, ain't it? It's y'all boy. Oh, Elon. Oh, Elon. What day and night will be the wildest party on your island? That is crazy, bro. He looking for the absolute smoke. He want the top tier. So you know he involved heavily. If this motherfucker don't go down, bro, I know something. So this is a crazy statement. And this is the whole email from him.
Island sent 4 years after Epstein pleaded guilty to soliciting a minor for prostitution. Musk, who repeatedly has called for the release of an Epstein client list, denies any wrongdoing. Writing over the weekend, if I actually wanted to spend my time partying with young women, it would be trivial for me to do so without the help of a creepy loser like Epstein. The new documents also show Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick arranged a visit to Epstein's island with his wife and children in 2012, after which Epstein passed along this message to Lutnick. Nice seeing you. But late last year, Lutnick said he had cut off ties with Epstein years earlier.
My wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
On Friday, Lutnick told the New York Times, I spent zero.
Bro, this crazy that it's so crazy that all of a sudden he's a disgusting person. When y'all been knowing what he was going to do, y'all been knowing what he was doing. He's just disgusting now because everyone's figured out that y'all involved and that he was doing some foul shit. Now all of a sudden he's disgusting. Bro, these people knew what was going on from the jump. That's crazy. Y'all disgusting. You disgusting if you know some shit and then you don't report it. Some shit like some shit, the shit that he was doing, if you know that type of shit, bro. Him, P. Diddy, all the motherfuckers that was actually doing shit, you know, illegal shit, foul shit to people. If you know about this shit going on and not reporting it, bro, you disgusting. You've been disgusting all these years. It's some bullshit. Bro, it should be way more people need to go down for this.
Time with him. A Commerce Department spokesman said Secretary Lutnick had limited interactions with Mr. Epstein in the presence of his wife and has never been accused of wrongdoing. Other emails show New York Giants co-owner Steve Tisch asked Epstein to connect him with women. In a May 2013 email, Epstein invited Tisch to his mansion late in the evening. Tisch responded, "Can I expect trouble?" In a statement Friday, Tisch said he and Epstein exchanged emails about adult women, adding, "I did not take him up on any of his invitations and deeply regret associating with Epstein." President Trump consistently has said he kicked Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago club and ended their friendship 2 decades ago. And while there are hundreds of references to Trump in the trove of newly released documents, the president claimed they further exonerate him.
Not only does it absolve me, it's the opposite of what people were hoping, the radical left.
The Friday release was only partial, just more than half of the projected 6 million pages. But the Department of Justice now says the review is over. A new statement from Epstein survivors said, "This is not over. We will not stop until the truth is fully revealed and every perpetrator is finally held accountable."
CBS News has learned several congressional leaders are seeking immediate access to review the Epstein files themselves from the Department of Justice, saying without doing so, they cannot be certain the law is being followed.
We're going to see how much that law apply to these motherfuckers, bro, because there's a lot of politicians and people of power involved in this shit, bro, and it's ridiculous, honestly. But it just really puts the United States under a microscope and really reveal what it has always been. It really reveals what it have always been, bro, and that is a lot of people of power manipulating, controlling, and fucking over the rest of the people are in this motherfucker. That's ridiculous. Let me look at some more of this shit though.
The FBI just dropped 3.5 million files, and it is incredible. Huge bombshells about some of the most powerful people on the planet. I can't believe they let some of this stuff out. I mean, it is stunning. Honestly, one of the biggest lies we've seen is the idea that the FBI could possibly come to us and say, not only is there not a client list, there was no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals. Guys, we're about to see planned blackmail to one of the most powerful people on the planet, and that is Bill Gates. Listen, there's a lot we're gonna get to, but we have to start with probably the craziest revelation here, which is Jeffrey Epstein emailing himself about Bill Gates. Now, if you don't know, Bill Gates and Epstein had a relationship post 2008. That's a big year. You're going to hear a lot today because 2008 was the time that Epstein pled guilty for soliciting of somebody under the age of 18. He was a predator at this point. Everybody knew it. Now, eventually, Bill Gates would get divorced when all of this came out. Melinda Gates said it was part of the direct cause for the divorce. She said she met Epstein and said he was evil.
He was evil personified.
So you have to understand, this is like Bill Gates' kryptonite. He's one of the richest men on the planet. He's got this huge philanthropy arm. But this relationship with Epstein has been a huge problem for him. And Epstein appears to have known that because in 2013, Bill Gates appears to be distancing himself from Jeffrey Epstein. And Epstein seems to have a problem with that. He says, I assume the dedication to our relation went both ways. Larry has now asked me to recommit to a confidentiality agreement. Basically, he's got to shut up about his relationship with Bill Gates. And this is where the blackmail starts. And it comes in the form of like, if I were you, I would do X if I were the type of guy that you should be. He says, in that regard, I suggest I buy you the house that you had your heart set on. In addition to 5 years of severance, we'll buy you out of the investment contract we agreed upon, 30 to 40% of an $100 million partnership for $30 million in today's terms. That's what I would have done had I been in your shoes. Then he lays out what he has on Bill Gates, or what he says he has. Quote, to add insult to injury, you subsequently, with tears in your eyes, implore me to delete the emails I had regarding your STD. Your request that I provide you antibiotics that you could surreptitiously give to Melinda, and the description of your I mean, this is insane. It's completely insane. It's like basically laying out in text form, I would give me millions of dollars. What the hell they got going on? I can't believe you're asking me to delete the message where you were going to give STD medication to your wife without her knowledge. I mean, it's complete. It's crazy. It's just completely obvious what he's doing here. It's just a nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Here's what you should do. But now that coming out after Epstein's death, this looks really bad for Gates, obviously, because you usually wouldn't blackmail somebody for something that's completely false or fake. I mean, maybe he did that. But we also know Bill Gates had affairs. Obviously, Melinda credits it for their divorce. So it's hard to believe there was nothing sketchy going on. Bill Gates, of course, maintains that it was completely above board. He says the fact this allegation was in here just shows how much Epstein was willing to defame people. But Epstein lays it out. He says he helped Bill get drugs in order to deal with the consequences of sex with Russian girls, facilitating his illicit trysts with married women, and to being asked to provide Adderall for bridge tournaments. Look, guys, this is exactly what we suspected the whole time. Epstein was providing services to rich people and expecting payment via blackmail. Now you might say, and it's true, that we don't know that Epstein ultimately sent that version of an email to Gates. All we know is he sent that to himself. He may have planned the blackmail and just been drafting something. But what we do know are two things. The Wall Street Journal has reported that Gates was threatened by Epstein over an affair. We also know that after this blackmail email Jeffrey sent to himself was written, eventually Gates sent a $2 million donation to MIT directed by Jeffrey Epstein, which is a bit weird if you had distanced yourself from the guy and y'all had this big falling out. Now, again, do we know for sure that Bill Gates did all of that? No, of course we don't. But do I think Bill Gates was innocently looking for charity advice from a after he already pled guilty? No, I don't. I'm sorry. I'm not that gullible. And speaking of not that gullible, we've been lied to also by another richest guy on the planet. Geez, it's a shock why they don't want to put this out. Elon Musk, who has been saying for years that it is a lie that he went to Epstein's island. In fact, he says he refused to go. From Elon, he says, Epstein tried to get me to go to his island. I refused. He says, anyone pushing this false narrative deserves complete contempt. later responding to another headline which said Elon Musk planned trip to Epstein's private island. And he says, this is false. But of course, we start to dig through the files and we can see on Epstein's calendar that Elon Musk is booked in December 6th of 2014.
Wow.
But maybe you don't believe that. That's just the word of Jeffrey Epstein. But maybe you'll believe the word of Elon Musk, who was caught emailing Jeffrey Epstein to go to his island post the guilty plea. Elon Musk writes, "Will be in BVI St. Bart's area over the holidays. Good time to visit." Jeffrey Epstein says, "I will send a heli for you." Later, Elon Musk writes to Epstein, probably just to Lula and me, his ex-wife, what day and night would be the wildest party on your island?
Whoop,
the
whoop.
world's richest man.
Oh my God.
Is asking the most pedophile man.
Called red-handed. Red-handed. Yeah. You've been involved, brother.
For the wildest party on his island. And then it gets more explicit. In 2012, remember, this is the guy who said, I refused it. I could never do that, right? It's false. But here in 2012, he says, do you have any parties planned? I've been working to the edge of my sanity this year. I really want to hit the party scene in St. Bart's or elsewhere and let loose. The invitation is much appreciated, but a peaceful island experience is the opposite of what I'm looking for. Guys, he can't even play the I went to go study math excuse, which is what all these guys do. They say, hey, I just went to go talk to scientists. Elon's like, hey, I don't want to do that. I'm looking for a party. That's what I'm here to do. And then Jeffrey Epstein writes, understood, I will see you on St. Barth. The ratio on my island might make your ex-wife uncomfortable. I can't believe these guys are lying to us and people are swallowing it still, thinking that Elon Musk had nothing to do with this guy. So again, that's 2012. That's 2014. But guess what? There's another time in 2013.
Wow.
I mean, this seems like a yearly thing with the boys. Here, once again, Elon Musk writes, we'll be in the BVI St. Bart's area over the holidays. Again, is there a good time to visit? Jeffrey Epstein, any day, 1st to the 8th, play it by ear if you want, always space for you. They then plan some more, and you might think, well, if Elon ever told the truth, this is when he
always space for you. So they had a good time other times. Like they became buddies. It's always a good space for you. Come on, bro. Come on, man.
has to reject, right? Because he said, I refused. But actually, it appears to be one of those cases where like your friend says like, oh, bro, I dumped her. And actually it was the other way. Yeah, it turns out Elon didn't dump the dumped Elon. He says, bad news. Unfortunately, my schedule will keep me in New York. Hopefully we can schedule another time in the future. Jeffrey Epstein let Elon down. That's actually the real story. Is the reason he didn't go in 2013 was because he couldn't go. Jeffrey Epstein was not there. Guys, I mean, how blatant do they have to make it before we start to just...
These people are evil, bro.
Right? When they issue these ridiculous denials, they're totally associated with the guy after the guilty plea. They lie through their teeth, but they can't even keep their story straight. I mean, that's what's crazy. They're not even competent at this. They get caught in their own lies all the time. Remember, the FBI's official story was they didn't blackmail. Well, before we even had these files, Howard Lutnick was on the record calling Jeffrey Epstein the greatest blackmailer ever.
So how come Bill Gates and all these other people could hang around him and not see what you saw? Or did they see it and ignore it? Or
No, they participated.
Right.
That's what his MO was, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever.
Interesting. Okay, so Howard has a different perspective. Now, if you don't know, that guy, do you think he's just telling the truth there? Even this guy who's contradicting the official narrative, this guy literally lived next to Jeffrey Epstein. This guy who's like, I'm going to tell the truth. Those guys participated. That guy lived next to Jeffrey Epstein. And by the way, he lied too. I love this video we're about to get into because this guy, Mr. He's the greatest blackmailer ever, does he know something we don't know? Because it's interesting. Mr. I'm his neighbor had to also explain how he had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And he lays it out pretty simply. He goes, yep, I lived next to him, but in 2005, I had such a horrible experience that I knew I could never talk to him again.
He was your neighbor for 10 years. How well did you know him?
We move in 2005. Okay. Jeffrey Epstein is arrested in like 2008, I think, or something like that.
Right.
So knock on the door. His assistant on like a Saturday says, Mr. Epstein, your neighbor would like to invite you over for coffee. And there's a massage table in the middle of the room. Massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he like gets like weirdly close to me.
Ooh.
And he says, and the right kind of massage.
Ooh.
Now, my wife is standing here. So she looks at me and I look at her and we say, I'm sorry, we have to go. And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Well, he couldn't be more clear, could he, right? He says, hey, I may have been his next door neighbor, but I met him once before the 2008 guilty plea. Remember I said that was a big deal? And we got invited over, and it was like 5 seconds, and we left, and we realized he was a creep. We were out of there. He made this rude, lewd comment in front of my wife. I would.
So where did he live? Like, so he lived on the island, but he also lived in it. So he bought an island, so where he could do his little freak dicks. But he also had a house that he was staying in the United States, probably somewhere in Hollywood. But it's crazy, bro. He bought an island. So where was all this stuff taking place at? Was it at the house in the island? On the island?
Would never go see this guy. I mean, he makes it super clear he's gross.
So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross.
These other guys, they may have participated.
They participated.
But Howard Lutnick, he could never. No. He's too good of a guy. Well, guess what we found in the old emails? Looky. It's Howard Lutnick writing to Jeffy Boy in 2012. Hi, Jeff. We're landing in St. Thomas early afternoon, planning to head over. Where are you located? What's the exact location for my captain? Does Sunday evening for dinner sound good? Is this the guy you said made a lewd comment to your wife and, I could never be in front of him? He's gross. Guess what the next email is?
Oh, my God.
My boy's wife messaging in, saying we're headed towards you in St. Thomas. Later, the subject line, Jeffrey Epstein. Good morning, Howard. Jeffrey wished me to pass you along. Nice seeing you. They clearly met, and the guy is just lying about it to your face.
Even his wife messaged him, Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, my God, bro. All these people, they being caught red-handed, bro. It is ridiculous. This is crazy. I guess they never thought the email was going to get out. And they just lied ahead of time. But yeah, that's wild.
The American public's face, and they tried to hide it from us. I cannot emphasize this enough. They're lying through their teeth. You think this guy perfectly remembers a 2005, like walking in the guy's house? I remember exactly what I said to him. My wife and I looked at each other, and he wouldn't remember the 2012. I boated over to his private island for a dinner. Is that what we're really thinking? Is that what we're expected to believe? This is a momentary lapse in his judgment. No, these guys don't even care about being consistent. And they're all throwing each other under the bus. Don't you remember Elon Musk saying, the time to drop the really big bomb? Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they haven't been made public. My guy, you also are in the Epstein files, very clearly doing stuff you lied about, okay? So is Howard Lutnick, who says, yeah, Bill Gates, he's probably getting blackmailed because he participated. What did you do on the island over in 2012, Howard? Do we know that? I mean, does anyone care? Now, the last thing I want to talk about is some of the most explosive stuff. It's also, again, I have to say, unverified, okay? This is the NTOC, the FBI's National Threat Operations Center. And the challenge with confirming some of this is that these are anonymous tips, or they black them out at least, so we don't know who they are. And anyone can drop a tip. Now, that doesn't mean that you should disregard them. It just means we can't verify them. The other challenge is that the FBI has a heavy incentive to discredit anything with Donald Trump in it, just because he's in the White House right now, obviously. And so I want to be clear, there are notes related to some of these submissions where they say things like complainant was spoken to and deemed not credible. Additional research showed 3 separate redacted. You know, it's hard to tell how much this is the proper due diligence of the FBI, which they should be doing, of course, and not all complaints are credible. But also there's this obvious conflict of interest with the fact that the sitting president is in some of these complaints. But here they are for what it's worth. Complaint summary. Blank reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told Alexis that she was approximately 13 to 14 years old when this occurred, and the friend allegedly bit
Oh my
President
God.
Trump while performing. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting President Trump. The friend also said she was abused by Epstein. Later, there's very explosive claims about big parties with her, other younger girls, and older Victoria's Secret models, including Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. There's claims third hand about a female victim of Epstein's who wants to publish a book citing Leslie Wexner, Epstein, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell is in the videos as well. And it goes on like this for a while. Some of the complaints are just like very graphic, and obviously I'm gonna censor out some of it. But I should also mention the DOJ claims that some of these claims were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false, and if they had any shred of credibility, they would have certainly been weaponized against President Trump already. Now, I agree that if a complaint is timed right before an election, there definitely could be some other motivations to that. But it's also ridiculous to say that anything in the Epstein files, if it were true, would have come out already. Because why didn't we see the stuff about Bill Gates, for example? I mean, that stuff apparently has been sitting in here for a long time. And not only did no one talk about it, the FBI literally covered for it. I mean, they said that this was not the case. There are big claims against a lot of powerful people. Nobody in that file really wants to rock the boat or release the files because then they get in trouble and their buddies get in trouble. And that's a huge problem. So I don't really buy the idea that, oh, if it were true, it would have already gotten out. I don't buy that. That's why we need transparency. That's why it's important these files are out. But this is just a look at a small fraction of the files. And over the next few weeks, we're going to go through all of the major findings we can from this 3.5 million page document dump. But seriously, think about
3.5
how
million
discrediting
pages?
this has been, not only to this administration, but to so many rich and powerful people who have lied through their teeth happily towards you in order to hide their relationship with this man that many of them held post-guilty plea. And some of them, now we know.
So this nigga worse than Diddy. People be talking all this shit about Diddy. This nigga worse than Diddy. That's basically what I'm getting from it. He is he's Diddy. He's Diddy 1.0, and then Diddy's Epstein 2.0, 3.0.
New Epstein just dropped. New Epstein just dropped. 3 million new documents, 3 million new emails.
Damn,
and
3 million.
oh boy,
Insane,
some
bro.
people got exposed, man. They got everybody in this bitch, man. All right, let's dive in.
Okay, by the time this video gets out there, there's probably going to be even more, but with a brand new multi-million page Epstein data dump, I wanted to dive in and look at the most immediately damaging stuff that we have, and also talk about just how badly the government screwed up, because it is bad, like historically bad levels of incompetence.
Not surprising.
Let's start with
this. This is a MAGA government, of course.
It's because we absolutely need the context. This is Todd
imbeciles.
Blanche, former personal lawyer for Donald Trump, who is now Deputy Attorney General of the United States. On January 30th, 2026, Blanche took the stage for a massive press conference unveiling that the DOJ and the FBI would be releasing about 3.5 million pages of new Epstein files.
Who is this nigga, by the way? Like, he seemed new. Has he been around the whole time? Why am I just seeing this guy?
As required by congressional law. The important part is at about 4 minutes and 10 seconds in, where he discusses the redaction guidelines and bloviates at length about how strict the criteria was, how hard their staff worked on these redactions, and how nothing was being withheld on the basis of national security. If you actually listened to him and took his words at face value, which you absolutely should not do, this is the most transparent administration ever. The quality of their work is unimpeachable, and the redactions that they made were only to protect victim information, nothing else. Sadly, that is a lie. Over the course of today's video, I'll go through a series of examples in an effort to give as comprehensive a look as I can so far for this file dump. But at the end of it all, I want everyone to consider a question.
All right.
Is the current governing administration in the United States telling the truth?
Of course not.
Here we go. Item number 1, which is actually 2 documents in this case, EFTA 01660679 and EFTA 01660651. These documents show a collection of insane allegations against Donald Trump. These come from the NTOC, National Threat Operations Center at the FBI, which is where they process and vet public tips. And some of them are very obviously marked as not credible. Others are flagged as no contact made after attempting to follow up with the caller. But here and there, you start finding that some of these reports resulted in a, quote, lead being sent to conduct interviews. Obviously, I can't comment on the authenticity of these allegations overall. But there's something else I found interesting, something far more important in my mind that speaks to the credibility of the DOJ, the Department of Justice itself, and their decision-making when it came to these redactions. Look at these two documents. Separate files, sure, but not always different content. Quote, complainant was spoken to and deemed not credible. Additional research showed 3 separate blank, and then it's all redacted.
All right.
However, this file isn't. The rest of the sentence says, quote, incidents involving police which requested in mandatory psychiatric evaluations, end quote. That,
all right, so why did they even need to redact that?
That right there, although small in a vacuum, is the very first example in a massive, massive pattern. A pattern where the DOJ is redacting things that make no sense. Things that they have no legal right to withhold, and things that may in fact matter a great deal. We just don't really have the ability to know because we don't have the full picture. Example, they literally redacted the word none in this file. And you can straight up read some of the other redactions because they're not centered properly.
Wow.
It's a joke. Even still, keeping in mind that the goal here is to analyze everything as objectively as possible, we need to do a bit of a fact check because despite massively viral social media claims all over the place.
Now, it's possible that this is just a result of incompetence, and that's more than likely what it is. However, could it be, hear me out here, could it be that we have people on the inside, good people who are like doing their job badly on purpose so that we can actually see the truth? Is
I
that
just think
possible?
about that. I just think about that.
Tell me what you think.
Maybe it's some people that want the
These two
information to get
files
out, but
were
the government
not
don't want
actually-
the information to be out. So they're purposely doing their job poorly so people can like put the puzzle pieces together type shit.
Be pulled down or deleted immediately after publication. There were some 404 errors displayed on the DOJ website briefly.
Oh, yeah, I
but
heard
they were
about this, how they took down the files.
ultimately resolved
Again.
within minutes, I think, actually. And the files are now clearly visible again. I'm not sure why that happened. The sheer amount of traffic may very well have played a part as people flooded into the directory specifically searching for those particular files. And it's entirely possible that the DOJ panicked, deleted them, and then reinstated them, like they appear to have done previously with a different batch of files. But this time I honestly see no indication of that happening. This time it feels like a genuine glitch. Do you want to know what isn't?
Sure, maybe.
A glitch? This right here, an FD 302 victim interview, which is mostly redacted, clearly protecting certain perpetrator names alongside the potential victims. But even from what we see unredacted, quote, Maxwell presented blank to Trump and they had a conversation for approximately 20 minutes. Blank was invited to Mar-a-Lago, where she was given a tour by Trump with Epstein and Maxwell present. Nothing happened between Blank and Trump. By the things that Maxwell said, it was made clear that Blank was available. Maxwell said things like, oh, I think he likes you. Aren't you lucky? This is great. End quote. Put whatever kind of spin on that you want to.
Sure,
but
right.
what I see personally is a victim being presented to someone with the obvious implication that they can have her if they want her. These are very serious.
Anybody thinking that Donald Trump is still clean, bro? Birds of a feather flock together. They were best friends. I mean, come on. They were best friends. Get real, man.
Allegations, and they're not the only one.
Mr. Grab him right by the pussy? Oh yeah, he's a saint, I'm sure.
The sole focus of the video, by the way, isn't just Donald Trump, so I'm not going to read all of them. But the gist of it is that there are incredibly damaging revelations about how close Trump and Epstein were, so far beyond what we've been told is true, it is no longer possible to hand wave the files away as just a Democrat hoax.
Right, sure.
Pivoting back to the first two documents, I also want to point out something else. In between the spreadsheets and the accusations, we have emails in August of 2025. But the thing about these emails is that here we can see that they clearly acknowledge redacting a reporter's name who explicitly is not a victim. Anthony Sibeli, I think is how you say it, while also on one of the sheets failing to redact an actual potential victim name, Leslie McMichael, in a further display of incompetence. Like I said previously, the video isn't focused solely on Donald Trump, but we're looking at well over 5,000 mentions of his name, and that's only the searchable portions of the archive that they've indexed, which...
Why does he appear so much? Like, why?
Does he involve, bro?
Why is your name so frequently mentioned in like email correspondences and documents that have to do with the world's most notorious pedophile in fucking human history, American history? Why 5,000 plus? Like, tell me how shocked you would be if like your dad's name appeared even once. You'd be like, what the fuck? 5,000 times, guys. Come on.
It hasn't even all been released so far. Let's move on to someone else, okay? Arguably the largest individual catalyst who has been deliberately stoking speculation about Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, and that is Elon Musk. Elon has long maintained his near total separation from Epstein.
Oh, it is.
He claims that the photograph of him and Ghislaine Maxwell is just a photobomb.
This motherfucker just look weird anyway. Like he look like he involved in a lot of shit. Look at him, bro. He a fucking geek. Fucking weirdo nerd. It's like he sit at home and beat his meat to like incest videos and shit, bro. Look at him, bro. He just look weird as fuck. I don't understand how motherfucker like can look at this motherfucker and a lot of these other billionaires and millionaires and shit and not see their nature, their true nature, bro. You can look at him and tell that he's weird. You just look at him and tell, bro.
He perpetrated and he had no idea about it. He claims that he was invited to Epstein Island but refused, and he desperately lashes out at anyone who insinuates otherwise over the past several months. Quote, "Shame on Sky News for this utterly misleading headline. Anyone pushing this false narrative deserves complete contempt. Epstein tried to get me to go to his island, and I refused.
Oh, really?
Yet they named me even before Prince Andrew, who did visit." End quote. Strong words, very defensive, but it turns out that we actually have emails between Musk, Epstein, and Leslie Groff, one of Epstein's assistants,
what
reading, quote, Elon to Epstein, "Will be in the
We
BVI
already saw this, bro.
St. Bart's area."
But yeah, bro. Hey, man, that is crazy, bro. That is some crazy shit. For real. That's crazy. It's not really a shocker, though. It's not really a shocker that so many politicians and people of power are corrupt. It just basically solidifies like a lot of our ideas and thoughts of like people being in power. People they got a lot of money being in power and running shit and doing a whole bunch of law breaking. It just basically solidifies that.
Come closer, hip-hop supernova is back. Keep your composure, yeah, all hail the chosen. You niggas place holding. I soar in, so important like Air to Jordans. Just culture.